by giving in the credentials. So 12345 according to here, and the password is 123. Okay, so now we're at the menu page. So over here, there's an admin view that shows all the variables and the error indicators. So as of now, I'll turn it off so that it gives a more user-friendly interface. And if you wait for more than 10 seconds, as you can see over here, the system will be terminated and you'll go back to the start page. And we need to log in again. So 12345 and 123. So over here, the first feature we have is fund transfer. I can transfer all 4,000 of my account into this Lucius account by giving in Lucius's username and the amount I want to transfer. So let's transfer 4,000. So as you can see here, I'm left with 0 and Lucius's account has added 4,000. So I can use a deposit function. So to deposit another 500, and as you can see, it works. If I can withdraw 2,000 and 2,000 is withdrawn, and I can pass cash. And as you can see, it deducts 50 by 50 every time I click it. Let's show the errors that is possible. So if I enter an invalid account ID and the amount to transfer, it'll show transfer failed. Please try again later. So let's say if the ID is correct, but I don't have enough fund, let's transfer 9,099. Which shows insufficient fund, please deposit before trying. And it's the same for withdraw and fast cash. And the balance inquiry here basically shows the balance I have. Once I click terminate, the program will show the terminate for 3 seconds and you'll go back to the start page. That's all for my interface. I'll now move on to the block diagram. So the entire thing, this whole thing is my state machine, which has 5 cases. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Start, you initialize everything and wait for card to be inserted over here. Once the card is inserted, you go to the running phase. And running phase is basically the main part of my program. It basically waits for the button interaction. So I have 6 buttons and 1 enter button. The function of the enter button is basically to retrieve value from the user input. Any function that requires the enter button will change the mode of the enter button so that it knows what value to be retrieved. Okay, so as you can see in the enter button, these are all the variables that I need to retrieve. Username, password, deposit. And the reason each variable has 2 is because every time I click the button, the string control needs to be refreshed before retrieving the value. So over here is basically resetting the mode so that the next time I click it, it will retrieve the value. And I set it to value change. So every time I click, it goes down and comes back up. The case runs twice so that the value will be retrieved. And that's all for the enter button. The ones that don't require enter button will immediately be executed. For example, balance inquiry. You'll show and continue running. Okay, so now I'll be explaining about the TCP/IP connection. During the verification, I'll take the username and the password and put it and send it according to the length of the username, length of the password, and the password. Then I'll get the status from the server. So let's see what goes on over here at the server side. So in the server side, I'll get the length of the account ID, length of the account ID, length of password, and the password. I'll first check the validity of the username by searching for the zeros column. So I'll enable indexing in the while loop so that once I find the account ID, I'll terminate the loop and I'll verify the password in the first column. So if the password is authentic, then you trigger this case structure, which will structure the data to be sent back. So the structure of the data to be sent back is the length of the first name, length of the last name, length of the first name, length of the last name, length of the balance, and the balance. And okay, the first one here is basically represents the status. So this data will be sent back to the client side. So as you can see here, this is the status. If the status is 0, it basically displays error message and it will be terminated. If it's 1, then it will show welcome, first name, last name. It will store the balance in a variable and allow the menu page to be functions. So this variable, this balance variable will be edited each time I deposit with user input. The updated balance will be sent back to the server to be updated. So this is a sub VI that I use, which sends the status, the balance of the updated value back to the server. Very simple. And for this sub VI will be present for withdraw, fast cash, transfer fund, and deposit. The server will receive, use the index from the verification, update the 4th column of the index array, and rewrite the entire array back into the file. And that's for my TCP/IP connection, my sub VI, my state machine, and how I retrieve user input. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you, sir, for listening. Have a good day.